It started with an unpaid bill for a storage unit in San Bernardino. The manager had seen hundreds of these auctions. People vanish, their junk left behind, strangers bid on it, hoping for hidden treasures. But the man who won Unit 42 didn't find antiques or baseball cards or dusty furniture. He found a metal toolbox, old, dented, the kind mechanics used in the 70s. It was padlocked shut, heavy, too heavy for its size. When he forced it open, the smell hit first, a chemical sweetness layered over rot, a stench that made his eyes water. Inside, beneath neatly folded rags, were cassette tapes, 21 of them, each labeled with a woman's name and a date in red ink. He thought about the $50 he'd paid for the unit. He thought about returning the box. But curiosity won. The first tape started with silence, then breathing. Slow, controlled, deliberate. In the background, faint metallic clinks, tools shifting on a table. A man's voice, calm and conversational, like he was speaking to a child. "You're going to help me with something today." Then, a sound that didn't make sense until it happened again. The high-pitched whine of a power drill starting, stopping, starting. The woman on the tape began to cry. Not sob. This was a steady, hopeless cry, like she already knew she wouldn't leave. The man laughed, a low, breathy chuckle inches from the microphone. What followed wasn't screaming, at least not at first. It was a wet, gagging noise. Something was being done to her, slowly, carefully. The drill whirred again, and then came a sound that the buyer would later describe to police as like a melon splitting, but wetter, heavier. Tape 2 was worse. This one opened with the sound of footsteps pacing. The man hummed to himself. Somewhere in the room, the victim whimpered. He asked her if she'd like to see what happened to the others. She must have nodded because there was a metallic scrape, a drawer sliding open, and then the dry rustle of something soft but brittle. The man said, "These are ears, 13 of them, one's yours now." Then the tape dissolved into shrieking. Police traced the unit back to a man named Martin Kay. He'd died 3 years earlier, heart failure. His family had no idea about the tapes, but the investigation didn't end there, because on tape 17, the voice of the woman wasn't terrified at all. She was calm, almost excited. "You promised me," she said. The man replied, "You'll get yours soon as I finish this one." That voice, female, unafraid, matched no missing person in the database. No dental records, no fingerprints. It was like she didn't exist. But there's one more thing. Tape 21 didn't end with a victim. It ended with someone knocking on a door. The toolbox man opens it, and a voice says, "You're late." The tape cuts out, then clicks again, the sound of the toolbox lid slamming shut. Police never found her. They never found the tools. And 5 of the names on the cassettes belonged to women reported missing after Martin Kay's death.
Every October, Hollow Creek set up its famous haunted house inside the shell of an abandoned textile mill. It was the town's biggest event. Lights, fog machines, and actors, and grotesque makeup leaping out at teenagers who pretended to be braver than they were. On October 23rd, halfway through the attraction, there was a room called the Gallows. Visitors walked through a dim corridor lit by flickering bulbs, past half a dozen mannequins hanging from thick ropes. Their faces were rubber masks, mouths twisted in mock agony. The 7th mannequin was different. His clothes were dirty but real, jeans stiff with something dark. His head lolled forward, chin pressed to his chest. And his smell. Some visitors noticed it, some didn't. The first reports to the organizers were casual. That one guy in the corner looks way too real. The actors loved it. Authenticity meant success. They didn't know. He hung there for 3 nights before anyone touched him. When they did, his skin gave under the pressure. Soft, warm in some spots, cold in others. The latex mask didn't peel away. It tore. Underneath was mottled flesh, gray at the edges, slick in the center where fluid still pooled. The body belonged to a drifter named Alan Ross. No ID, just a tattoo on his forearm. A noose tied in a perfect hangman's knot. The rope around his neck matched it exactly. Same knot, same technique. The autopsy revealed he'd been alive when the noose went on. But the ligature marks were strange, deep and wide, as though the rope had been moving while it choked him. The medical examiner said it looked like someone had been tightening and loosening it over hours, letting him breathe just enough to prolong it. And there was more. Alan's wrists had been slashed, but not fatally. Shallow cuts, deliberate. His fingernails were caked with paint and splinters, consistent with the lumber used to build the haunted house's sets. They think he built part of his own display. The police questioned every employee. No one remembered him. Security footage was worse. It showed Alan walking into the building days before opening night, carrying a duffel bag. There's a gap of 3 hours where the cameras all went black. When they came back on, the bag was gone, and so was he, until the exhibit opened. Inside the duffel bag, later recovered from a crawl space, were 6 Polaroids. Each showed a different man, hanging head down, but all with faces blurred in motion, as though they'd been twisting at the moment the picture was taken. The final photo wasn't blurred. It was Alan, alive. Someone else's hands, pale, bony, were on the rope behind him, pulling. To this day, no one knows how he got into that room or who tied the knot. The haunted house shut down permanently, but locals still tell the story. Every October, some swear they see a figure in the dark mill windows, swaying, slow, head bowed.
The Airbnb listing called it the Clown Room Experience, a roadside attraction for those obsessed with the strange. The photos showed what you'd expect. Walls lined with vintage porcelain clown dolls, shelves packed with painted faces frozen in grins. A kitschy nightmare for most. But for a group of amateur streamers, it was content gold. They went live the moment they stepped inside. "Welcome to hell, guys," one of them joked, panning the camera across hundreds of glass eyes staring back. The chat scrolled fast, the audience eating it up. At first, nothing happened. Just laughter, nervous banter, and close-ups of dolls too realistic to be funny. They cracked jokes about which one would kill them first. But then the connection stuttered. The feed glitched. A viewer typed, "Wait, rewind that. The doll in the back." It blinked. They laughed it off, replayed the clip, and went quiet. It wasn't a glitch. It had blinked. The stream grew. Hundreds turned to thousands watching live. The streamers leaned into it, daring each other to pick one up, to hold it, to taunt it. One lifted a doll dressed in cracked white porcelain, its painted smile running down the jawline. It was cold. Too cold. Like holding ice. That was when the sound came. A little giggle, high-pitched, childlike. But it didn't come from any of them. The chat exploded. Who laughed? They dropped the doll. Its porcelain head cracked against the floor, but instead of shattering, it rolled slowly to face the camera. The lights flickered. One by one, the dolls turned their heads toward the center of the room. The laughter came again, louder, multiplied. The streamers screamed. The camera caught their panic. One tried the door, locked. Another smashed at a window. Nothing gave. The dolls slid off their shelves, legs clicking like brittle bones, grins widening as they advanced. The live stream spun in chaos. The screen tilted, viewers catching glimpses of porcelain hands clutching at ankles, painted eyes reflecting the phone's light, red mouths yawning wider than they should. One by one, the streamers were dragged into the shadows between shelves, their screams cut off. The chat screamed with them. Then, silence. The phone sat abandoned, pointed at the floor. Hundreds of little porcelain feet stepped into frame. The viewers didn't stop watching. They couldn't. Someone finally called the police. The last moments of the stream were caught on an officer's body cam, kicking in the door, the camera shaking, his breath ragged. The dolls were waiting, hundreds of them, silent, perfectly still, all facing him. Then, in the final second before the feed cut, one of them turned its head, right at the camera. Black. The live stream ended. But for those who saw it, the laughter never left.